what was considered fun in the 90s or 80s going forward. But it looked like now, when it comes to like Diddy, people are saying, oh, well, some of the fun or what y'all were doing in freak offs, hey, the police gonna look at that. And I think this is one of the reasons why Uncle Luke is like, shit, he was the wild guy. He's like, shit, I got my releases. Let me make sure I still got that in case they try to come for me.
Is I used to let me just say this, right? If there was anybody hurt or anybody violated or anybody treated any type of way or by anybody in any of them situations, that shit go to court and it comes out. And if your ass did something wrong, then your ass need to go to jail. Right? I'm a firm believer of that because, everybody got daughters. Ain't nobody want nobody violating their daughter. But at the same time, we have to understand that.
Okay, I'm gonna go briefly to so the prosecutor that operated on the R. Kelly case. We're gonna play the R. Kelly audio with Wack shortly, but the prosecutor that operated on that case, they actually did an interview and they're comparing what's going on with Diddy to R. Kelly. Look,
is being modeled on the investigation that brought down music superstar R. Kelly almost 2 years ago. And in that case, the federal government used allegations that were made in civil lawsuits against R. Kelly to bring criminal charges. Nadia Shihata was one of the prosecutors who got R. Kelly convicted of sex trafficking. She's now a defense attorney and happens to be here with me live. Nadia, thank you so much for stepping in. So first of all, your reaction to the news you're seeing, to the two raids, all of the material that I've just provided prior to you coming on, and the news that the feds are modeling this case after your case.
Yeah, I mean, it's big news. Obviously, taking a step in an investigation of searching two homes means the investigation is well underway here. They clearly have probable cause to believe a federal crime has been committed and that evidence of that crime or multiple crimes would be found in the two locations that they searched. So this is big news. And if I'm P. Diddy or his lawyers, I'd be very concerned at this point.
The biggest concern, as I understand it, and check me if I'm wrong here, is that when people sign non-disclosure agreements, as may have happened in P. Diddy's world, in big celebrities' world, it happens all the time. That's that, right? Doesn't matter if you file a civil lawsuit. But when the feds come knocking, NDAs mean nothing. Is that what you found in the prosecution of R. Kelly? All of these lawsuits and these accusers or people who may have been covered by NDAs, the floodgates were open and they could tell you everything, AKA, is that possibly happening here?
That may well be happening here. An NDA, when push comes to shove, is not going to trump a grand jury subpoena or a federal agent.
and by the way, usually most NDAs actually say you can't tell your friend what happens here, but if you are instructed legally and lawfully by a court, you can. So most NDAs will actually tell if they want to inform the person signing of their rights. They're going to tell them, yeah, this NDA means nothing once the cops come. Like, yeah, this only means you can't tell your friend and go gossip on social media, talk a bunch of shit. But otherwise, yeah.
Or prosecutor asking you questions, but I wouldn't say that they have no effect. NDAs can make people very reluctant and hesitant to speak to law enforcement. So if it's someone that law enforcement is not already aware of, they may be wary to, themselves contact law enforcement to provide information. And so they can still deter people in that sense.
But once they know they're safe, they can speak, which I think is always, well, it's a concern if you're the target. And we are told that Diddy is indeed the target of this investigation. Nadia Shihata, thank you so much for being on. I'll call you again.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Let me go through two things really quickly. So,
Thank you for watching.
Sorry.
Go to news.
So let me kind of look at what the law is. So essentially, and again, we're kind of assuming here, but we're trying to like play this out and trying to get as much information as possible. If we're going to think about what Diddy is probably facing, the most applicable laws that would probably come into play that federally they will be looking at him for is either sex trafficking or human trafficking, right? So we're going to look at what legally that's defined as. Obviously, they're going to probably try to trump it up with some additional charges of if they found drugs, drug possession, and maybe like weapons possession. But those things, even though those are still serious, because we do know like if you get caught with a gun, an illegal gun, or if you're a felon, which I don't know if Diddy is, but those could have years in jail consequences too. But the main thing that would be it's over. It would be clearly human trafficking or sex trafficking. Actually, let's actually even look up the R. Kelly case real quick. R. Kelly found guilty. What exactly did he get found guilty of? He faced allegations of sexual abuse. The counts went back to his start of career, blah, blah. He was jailed for 30 years after being found guilty of 8 counts of sex trafficking. Okay. So it's sex trafficking and 1 count of racketeering. Was that in a federal court? Was that in a federal court? I know he was actually charged. In Chicago.
After sentencing, supporters of R. Kelly shouted.
Okay. A judge sentenced him to yeah, a 20-year. Okay, yeah. So the Northern District of Illinois actually did this one, and then there was a state case, I believe, in New York, consecutive to his New York sentence. They say he's a sexual predator who uses fame and wealth to abuse victims and show no remorse. Oh, wow. Okay. This was a very interesting thing. What was the racketeering? So if we're just going, like, we're just trying to be smart with this, like, it looks like they're looking at him for sex trafficking. We're going to look up the law for that in a second. Racketeering. Why was it racketeering though? Well, I guess they're saying he created a criminal enterprise of how he was procuring these women and moving them around. That's the enterprise. Actually, I just kind of like fucking answered my own question, which that's good. Let me just watch a little thing of this.
Trafficking, and you might hear racketeering and think, isn't that for mafia bosses?
Okay.
But this was part of a unique strategy on the part of federal prosecutors.
Yeah, see, that's what the federal prosecutors do something different. That's why they get all the gangs, because once they say you have built an organization, which means you have a systematic way of doing a crime, and you have people, places, and money involved. As long as there's a crime being committed, that is kind of racketeering, right? Now, obviously, you use it at the highest level. Well, let me not say the highest level. You use it at levels for like a mafia or like the mob, right? When they have an organization of moving drugs and punishing people or killing people or ordering murders, but you can't get the guys who's pulling the trigger when they're the power players. So you get them with a RICO charge because they're making they're calling the shots. They're just not pulling the trigger, right? But they use a racketeering charge to get Kelly. Damn.
To introduce sexual assault allegations that were well outside the statute of limitations. And at the center of this case, Lester, was the story of Aaliyah, a pop singer who many people know died tragically in a plane crash in 2001. According to testimony, she met R. Kelly when she was just 12 years old. A witness, a compelling witness for the prosecution, said that she actually walked in on R. Kelly performing a sex act with Aaliyah when she was either 13 or 14 years old. We then heard from one of his employees that at the age of 15, he bribed an official in Illinois to get a...
Okay, all right. Wow, okay, so let's look at the federal law when it comes to sex trafficking. It says sex trafficking is recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purposes of a commercial sex act, in which the commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, coercion, or in which the person is induced to perform such an act that has not attained 18 years of age. Okay, so the first part is clearly sex trafficking would occur or you would imagine that it would apply here if they're searching 2 different places in 2 different states, right? And Diddy constantly moves between both. For example, with Cassie had stories about New York, also LA, right? So you know he was flying her all over the place. That would be transportation, so we check this box. The next box is where the commercial sex act, and we probably got to get a definition of what commercial sex act means. But anyway, It says in which the commercial sex act is induced by force. Now, according to Cassie, she felt, she was forced, maybe not physically, but she was under force and under duress to basically do these things to please him, and just by nature of the fact that he controlled not only all her finances, he controlled her life. Like, I mean, even her medical records was going to him before she could get access to it. And then apparently when she tried to leave, he would send people around her to kind of induce her, like kind of put some fear in her that she could kind of act right. So this would kind of come down to sex trafficking. You get what I mean? Now, here's the thing about it. Is the sex trafficking is going to, I would imagine they were trying to get, like, if they do bring charges against Diddy, they want it to be so overwhelming, he's fucked. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to bring multiple counts. Cassie, that's one count against Mrs. Ventura. The 17-year-old at the time, I don't know her name now, she would be one count. Lil Rod, if that was a thing, that would be a count. Other people, and I got to imagine that they've done their due diligence and interviewed people. You know what struck me, which I didn't talk about last time, right? So Cassie lawyer spoke, and I got to think that the lawyer spoke with the permission of Cassie, right? It says Cassie's lawyer called out Sean Diddy Combs depraved conduct after Homeland Security raided 2 of his homes. This is what Cassie's lawyer said. We will always support, and notice it says we will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those that have violated the law. Now, what this tells me is that this lawyer probably walked Cassie into some type of meeting with the feds, and Cassie probably is going to be testifying against Diddy. Or Cassie has provided information that could help this investigation, maybe trying to verify what does she have, what she left out of the lawsuit, maybe tapes that, remember she constantly said Diddy would show her tapes to embarrass her, to be like, hey, remember you fucking all these niggas? You get what I'm saying? So, who knows? Perhaps, it's not even perhaps, Cassie's going to be cooperating, clearly. Like, if they're commented on this, who the hell would the cops want to talk to and get as a witness more than Cassie? Which, by the way, Cassie has literally taken down Diddy. And again, I'm not saying it's not Diddy's fault or whatever, but still, imagine this finesse. You get paid by the motherfucker, and you probably signed NDAs, right? Remember, she signed NDAs back in the day, probably. But then she sued, right? And Diddy paid her off and probably had her sign new NDAs that she can't file again, she can't write a book, she can't do this, she can't do that. And now she gets to legally break the NDA once again by cooperating with the government to get Diddy locked up. Cassie, I don't know what did, well, obviously, I was going to say I don't know what Diddy did to Cassie, but clearly we know. But Cassie is the person who's going to sink Diddy. Imagine getting paid $50 million or $30 million, whatever that number is, and then working with the cops to send that nigga to jail. Cassie won. Got paid and still gonna get quote-unquote justice, right? Damn, that's crazy. So Cassie's lawyer celebrated Diddy's homes being raided. Yeah, that sounds like a lawyer who's been working with her client beyond the settlement that Diddy gave, working with her client to deal with the feds in making sure, because here's the thing too, and there's a lot of muddy waters. When you're dealing with the federal authorities, especially in a situation like this, remember, according to Cassie, Cassie was helping to procure these escorts. She was the one searching for, hey, I'm looking for the nigga with the biggest dick in town, big black dick or whatever Diddy told her to do. I could imagine maybe she has signed some type of proffer agreement, signed some type of immunity agreement that she doesn't get charged, right? Now, granted, she's a victim of some sorts, but if there are other victims, they might have felt that Cassie facilitated them being victimized. Do you get what I'm saying? So Cassie, I do believe, probably spoke to the feds, probably, with her lawyer, says, hey, we'll cooperate whatever you need. We probably got some extra shit we could give you and you could lock up Diddy, but we got to make sure that Cassie is number one, always seen as a victim, because she is a victim, And the understanding of law enforcement is that anything that you're talking about with her that she might have admitted that she done was done under duress and done at the force, right? Or the fear of threat from Sean Puffy Combs. Do you get what I'm saying? Wow. That's some shit. Okay, so actually I got some new documents here. And by the way, it's getting interesting because there's so many moving parts, and I think some people just don't want to be involved. And you're getting to realize that, number one, this ain't the streets. A lot of these people have either careers or families. There's nobody trying to stand with a fucking sexual deviant. Everybody's quickly trying to say, hey, get me out of the lawsuit, get me out of this. And they're down to put out statements, or they're down to just say, man, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I don't know too much, but I'll tell you whatever you want to know about Diddy. I'll tell you about someone who's doing that shortly. But before we get to that, this is a sample of Diddy's. Hold on, give me 1 second. Is it this? Okay, this is a sample of Diddy's NDA. This is a standard NDA for Diddy. Okay, so it's a standard Combs NDA. Check this out. The confidentiality agreement is made effective Friday, blah, 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 on behalf of you. The term you shall include you, your estate, each corporation, and or business entity in which you have ownership or beneficial interest, and any and all persons or entities owned and controlled by you or such businesses. Example, affiliates, officers, directors, managers, accountants, and agents, and all of your respective heirs, executors, representatives, administrators, employees, licensees, successors, and assigns. Okay, all right. Now it says Sean Diddy Combs' privacy is highly valued, and all efforts will be made to maintain confidentiality with respect to all information and all material of any kind and other material of any kind, including without limitation the terms, conditions, and existence of this agreement. So basically, the first thing they want you to know is even this agreement is going to be protected. So this agreement is, you shouldn't let people know you signed an NDA, right? So this should be secret. Concerning or related to directly to blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not trying to read every single thing. I'm trying to get to the meat and potatoes. Okay, so it says, so pretty much it says this NDA also protects anyone related or affiliated and or indirectly the artist or any person, corporation, associated with the artist, personally or professionally, including without limitation, family members, relatives, past or present, fiancés, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends. Now we know Diddy's never been married to a man, but I think they're just putting everything. Boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, and business associates. Oh, and I guess it means husbands of people associated with Diddy. So it's covering everybody who Diddy knows, okay? All right. You shall not put a time disclose directly or indirectly to anyone the following information. Any information acquired to you by the manner or medium or by any means whatsoever in a time, Okay. You can't talk about the financial affairs or personal life and all such artist business activities, entertainment activities, financial affairs, or personal life, and all such information shall be deemed confidential, private, secret, and sensitive, and kept by you as confidential information. Wait, I keep reading the same line. I'm sorry. Unless artist otherwise advises you in writing, in artist's soul's discretion. So only Diddy could give you permission, but he has to give you permission in writing, not verbally, because people could be like, "Oh no, Diddy had told me I could say this." No. You need it in writing, or else you could be sued. B, any and all information described in paragraph 1A, including without limitation pictures, recordings, records, documents, property, merchandise, and other information related to artists and their personal, professional, or any other activities. Okay. C, without limiting foregoing, without artists prior, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Any sound, lightness, activities. Okay. So it's pretty much this is like an ironclad, NDA, which means you come to his house, you go to his office, you go around him. Please do not say nothing about nothing. You know what I mean? Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Chad. Okay. Look. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, this is so long and boring. I'm not gonna read through it. But basically, this is like an ironclad NDA, which means you can't talk about anything. Let me see if it in some NDAs it might tell you what the penalties are if you do break it. The agreement of this term to keep all information confidential and not use prohibited material shall commence on the first date above and continue for the life of the artist. So it lasts until Diddy's dead, plus 20 years, or 70 years from now, whichever is longer, right? Damn, okay. I see something about videotapes. You can't distribute photographs, videotapes, film, audio tapes, nothing. Okay. You sign that, you're not being forced to sign it, which I think anytime someone's trying to break an NDA, they usually make the point that I wasn't signing it like willingly. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily say. Sometimes it'll have like penalties if you do break it. But anyway, okay. That's just a Diddy NDA right there, okay? I don't want to get into the minute details of it, but it's clearly long, boring, and pretty much makes that nobody could ever say nothing about Diddy, period. Anyway, Mase has spoken about, this whole situation. And if you don't know, Mase was a Bad Boy artist for a long time, and he worked close with Diddy, and then they kind of fell out. He went to the church, and, obviously his opinion about this whole thing was obviously wanted or needed by the fans who are interested in people who used to be around Diddy and what they know or what they think. This is how he spoke about it.
Hey, how you doing?
Killer, I'm doing good, man. Reparations is getting closer and closer. I'll be sure to give you your percentage.
I ain't had nothing to do with that money. That's all yours, man. I was on the next boat. Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Closer and closer,
Closer and closer.
Okay.
The big payback.
This has been the last year. Has really kind of been the big payback for you, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay. You kind of last week. You went Destiny.
Yeah.
You done Destiny. You know what happened yesterday, right?
Yeah, man. That's what I'm trying to say. It's going crazy.
What happened?
I'm gonna let you start. What did you see that happen?
What's up, man? How you doing? Man. I was on the next boat. Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Closer and closer,
Closer
man.
and closer.
Okay.
The big payback.
This has been the last year. Has really kind of been the big payback for you, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, Gina, thank you. I did turn the mic up.
You kind of last week. You went Destiny Life After Death, and it was also the Diplomat Immunity album 21st anniversary. Shit going on. Shit's going on.
Reparation.
Yeah, man. I was just saying this. Yesterday was kind of.
That's eerie, man.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It was just
that was crazy.
That's kind of crazy, man. I had no idea that, the internet lets you know, because I don't be knowing these dates for my albums or other people's albums, but they will remind you, man.
Yeah.
That's all you seen?
In a lot.
That's what I seen. That's what I was.
I seen helicopters, all kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Life After Death.
Yeah. Anyway, I definitely want to say, and by the way, so we're gonna pull up some of the information about, and all this. There hasn't been any affidavits filed, criminally yet. Once it'll be publicly unless it's sealed, which I can imagine certain things, for example, like the search warrant is sealed right now. But when actual criminal affidavits are filed, we will definitely pull those. What did happen in the last couple of days is that there's been an amendment to the affidavit, or actually the civil lawsuit that was filed by Lil Rod. And this amendment gives more details to what's being alleged, that how Diddy operates, how other people facilitate. And again, if I could imagine the feds are probably trying to talk to Lil Rod, it also then says that there is somebody cooperating, but it's not cooperating on a criminal level. And because I've seen people incorrectly speak about that, there is nobody officially cooperating on a criminal level. We could assume, Cassie, we don't have confirmations, Cassie, but what happened is that in this criminal lawsuit, no, not criminal, I mean civil lawsuit that Lil Rod filed, you had an executive who essentially gave a statement to get her name out of the lawsuit. So there's someone named Ethiopia who used to run, what's the name of that? Used to run Motown. I think they probably still do run Motown. Like, they were very helpful with QC, becoming what it was. And they were under the Capitol umbrella. They were included in this lawsuit, and they got actually taken out. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to bring the lawsuit up. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So, once again, it's just a Lil Rod lawsuit. Pretty much most of the same stuff is there. Oh, actually, is this a front page? Where is the full thing? Oh, my bad. I had the full thing here, chat. Give me a second. Is it this? Yeah, this is it. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So here's a lawsuit, and yeah, you're gonna notice that there's one person missing, and the person missing. So all these people are being sued: Sean Combs, Justin Combs, Cuba Gooding Jr., Lucian Grange, Kristen Coram, Love Records, Motown Records, Universal Music Group, Combs Global, whatever. One person is actually missing from the lawsuit, and the person that's missing is actually this person named Ethiopia. And give me 1 second that I want to kind of explain to you, because people are, they're doing this lady kind of wrong. They're saying like she's cooperating, which, by the way, if you're in the music industry, granted, if the government forces you to cooperate, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you're cooperating with a fucking civil lawsuit, like, bro, you're done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your career is done. Which, that's not what she's doing. But I'll explain to you what's happening. Here we go. Is it this? Okay. Copy link. All right. So they filed something in court, which is this. It's a notice of voluntary dismissal, which basically said, hey, the plaintiff, Rodney Jones, Lil Rod, is going to give notice that the above caption action is voluntarily dismissed with prejudice against defendant Ethiopia Habertumuriam. And the reason why they said, I have another document that actually say what's going to happen. They said they did it because she's going to provide a, okay, actually, I have it right here. I have that right here. Sorry. Right here. So this is a lawyer for Lil Rod. It says, hey, dear judge, I'm writing your honor with an update regarding the above reference matter on behalf of the plaintiff. On March 21st, the plaintiff entered an agreement with defendant Ethiopia. Under this agreement, in exchange for a declaration that would be appended to the forthcoming amended complaint, the plaintiff has agreed to dismiss all claims against Ethiopia with prejudice. Furthermore, the plaintiff has elected to dismiss claims against Chalice Records, but they plan to keep suing just separately in state court. The decision enables the plaintiff to refile in Los Angeles, exactly as I said. Also, there's been constant contact, blah, blah, blah. They're talking about how hard it is, or they're saying defendant Sean Combs is like bullying people. That's what they're saying. So, anyway. Okay. All right. Now, let me bring up this amended lawsuit, and we're going to talk about some of the, where is it? Is this the amended one? Yeah, cool. So this is the amended one. And this is where we find the information about Carisha, right? Okay. So here's the amended lawsuit. If you're talking about the declaration should be an attached. Let me see. Attachment B. Attachment. Can we just find the attachments? Attachment B, which is... Okay, this is the Declaration of Ethiopia. So essentially, she wasn't into none of the freaky weird shit. So like her name being on this lawsuit, she probably just wanted to get her name off. She's like, yo, I'll give a declaration of exactly what jobs I did for all of these people that you're claiming did something to. I'll just tell you what my involvement was, which I never did nothing freaky and unsexual. I'll do that, but take me off of this fucking lawsuit. I guess they agreed, and this is her declaration. I, Ethiopia, declare according to this the following. I have personal knowledge of the facts set forth herein, which are known to me to be true and correct, and if called upon to testify, I could completely testify to these things. Okay? She says, I began my employment with Universal Music Publishing Group in January 2003. Around 2014, I got promoted to president of urban music and co-head of creative at UMPG. Around 2014, I was given the president of Motown. Hold on, my bad. I can't see much. Motown Records and executive of vice president of Capitol Music Group, and I reported directly to Steve Barnett. In and around 2021, I became chairman of Motown Records, Love Records. She says, in around 2022, I entered an agreement with Love Records, obtained the right to distribute one album being produced by them, the Love album. They were aware, UMG was aware, and authorized Motown to enter into this license agreement with Love Records. To the best of my recollection on the agreement, Motown Records agreed to pay or reimburse Love Records for certain invoice recording costs incurred by Love Records for the making of the Love album. I'm not personally aware of any financial sponsorship by Motown or UMG of any Love Records, listening parties, or writing camps. By the way, this is where they said the freak-offs originated. So she's given the statement by saying, yo, hey, I worked for this, I did work on this album, or like we signed them for this album, but I wasn't into no freaky shit. To my knowledge, neither Motown Records nor UMG would have organized or ran any listening parties or writers camps. By the way, this is where Lil Rod claimed that the freak shit started. For the Love album, okay, I am not personally aware of any cash payments made from Motown's or UMG to Love Records or Mr. Combs. Instead, as I said, to my best of my recollection, under the license agreement, Motown would have paid or reimbursed Love Records for only certain invoice recording costs. Since leaving Motown Records in 2022, I have no involvement with Love Records. She signed her name, and that's what it is, okay? We got the NDA from here as well. And okay, so let's actually go up, and we're going to find some new information. By the way, there's also some text messages I think they've now populated in here. Okay. All right. I actually wrote down. I wrote down some time. Okay, I got the times. Here we go. Or I wrote down the pages, I mean. So one amended thing that I didn't see before is this, okay? And this is where it basically terms Carisha Brownlee as exactly what she is, a fucking sex worker. I'm sorry to tell y'all, okay? I know y'all like to, we could call them a singer, but clearly this is all cosplaying. When you're selling like 30 records, you're performing at Olive Garden, like you're not really making money off music. You get to realize that the money and the millions that you do have came from you sucking Diddy's dick. I'm sorry to say. And again, this is an assumption, but still, this is the thoughts of only academics, all right? I got to say that not to get sued. Anyway, this was added to the case. It says, upon information and beliefs that defendant Lucian Grange, in his capacity as CEO of UMG, authorized Motown and Universal Music Group to provide financial resources to defendants Sean Combs and Love Records through wire transfer to the defendants Sean Combs and Love Records accountant Robert Greenhill. Upon information and belief, Ms. Greenhill ensured the wiring funds transfer and cash payments to sex workers were completed. Now, this is where he's alleging that, these are actually, sex workers that Diddy was paying. He says defendant Christina Coram, through her direct reports, Frankie Santella, Moy Bond, and Brendan Paul, who we now see, right? See Brendan Paul, just got arrested, would negotiate the fees of the sex workers received and would ensure that the workers are paid in one of the manners detailed above. According to the plaintiff Jones, defendant Sean Combs bragged about having several women on a monthly stipend. According to plaintiff Jones, the women who receive these payments are Carisha Romika Brownlee, aka Young Miami, Jade Ramey, aka Jade, and Daphne Joy Cervantes Navarez. What the fuck is a long ass name? Aka Daphne Joy. They were paid a monthly fee to work as Mr. Combs' sex workers. Based on the information and belief, they received payment via wire transfer. Now, this is actually a pretty interesting accusation here because, without some type of proof or a recording of Diddy saying it, you see how whack was spinning. They're going to be able to go to court, or a prosecutor got to think, well, yeah, Diddy was paying Carisha, but how do we know what part of the payment was for pussy, and how do we know what part of the payment was for the podcast? Or maybe he hired her to do a show, or maybe, he was supplementing her record deal. You know what I mean? So it's going to be hard to prove that if there was money transfer, especially wire. It's going to be easy to prove if there were wire transfer because the bank's going to give a history when subpoenaed. But it's going to be hard to prove if it was for sex work unless it's explicitly said that it was a sex work, unless if you're the feds, you need one of these people to turn, right? Look, it says Frankie Santella, Moy Bond, and Brendan Paul. They would negotiate the fees for the sex workers. If one of them turns and says, yes, Diddy did give me money to pay his sex workers, it was my job to find a common ground of what I could get them paid, and I would take some money off the top. If one of those guys say that, whoa, Diddy's in cuffs. So if Brendan Paul says that he was being paid to negotiate fees for sex workers for Diddy, that is something where Diddy would undoubtedly get indicted. That's the definition of sex trafficking. That's the definition of, again, that just shows a pattern of behavior, and we already have victims, right? Wow. During the 10-year preceding the filings of this action, all defendants did cooperate jointly. Okay, cool. It's so interesting because I feel like this lawyer even took. They looked at the R. Kelly criminal, and they probably looked at the R. Kelly civil cases, and they wrote there's kind of just alike because they're bringing up even racketeering acts and shit. These acts aren't charged, and Diddy hasn't gotten hit with anything, but they're mentioning a particular type of act that would be only, I guess you're being held liable for it in the civil proceeding, but that's a term you would normally hear in a criminal proceeding, racketeering. Like, holy shit. Let me see if I can find some more information. See, and by the way, this is why it fulfills that sex trafficking thing I was saying. Through the relevant periods, defendant Sean Combs and Love Records use their financial resources and their general business partners to provide to solicit potential artists, creators, musicians, and producers, and they did it and relied on mail, email, social media, text, WhatsApp to disseminate misleading information to profit from free label of these artists. In addition to being forced to work for free. They use their power and influence to force these creatives to solicit sex workers and engage in unwanted sexual encounters with sex workers. They also use power and influence to purchase and distribute illegal firearms and drugs. And as a general business partner of Sean Combs, blah blah, in a defendant Lucian Charles Grange in his capacity of whatever, they should be equally held liable for the commission of these acts. Wow. Okay. You see, now they're detailing threats. Defendants Sean Combs, Love Records, Justin Combs, and Christine Coram didn't disclose to the individual they were solicited the fact that they would be drugged, required to sleep with sex workers, and forced to work for days at a time without compensation. As it relates to Plaintiff Jones, defendant Sean Combs, Love Records, and Christine Coram controlled his ability to travel. See, that's another thing. You see, when we talk about sex trafficking, human trafficking, that is like a textbook definition of what qualifies for sex trafficking and human trafficking. And even think about how they're looking at, and this is another country. Romania is investigating Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate for human trafficking. And one of the things that makes something human trafficking is if you limit their ability to travel. For example, you take their passport, you have people watching them, you limit or remove their financial capability of leaving. So limiting their ability to travel actually goes into kind of establishing that sex trafficking thing. They said they did not provide him with full compensation for the work he provided. As a result, he did not have the finances, as I said, to return home. Without defendants Sean Combs, Love Records, and Christina Coram paying for it on several occasions in Miami. He asked him for permission to visit his family for their birthdays. He would say no. They went as far as threatening him by saying if he left, he would not be paid for work he had done, would not be allowed to return, and would not be receive the promised Grammy, expensive property, and participation in other projects. Wow. Okay, we read some of this. Remember, there's pictures here. Ooh, so now they're talking about Brendan Paul, which is the guy who got arrested. As part of the scheme, defendants required their artists, creators, musicians, and producers to visit strip clubs wearing whatever and solicit. Oh, they're saying that they would wear this hat, the bad boy hat. Wow. Wow. Talking about Rico here. Okay. The other part that I found interesting was hold on. Okay. Let me go to, what is this? Oh, they're saying people are trying to bribe others to give information about this dude. Okay, here's a little bit more about Brendan Paul. So they're saying a part of this RICO, it says Stevie J, he's a recruiter. Combs solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers, and he would engage in freak-offs. Brendan Paul works as Mr. Combs' mule. Wow. Acquires and distributes Mr. Combs' drugs and guns. Frankie Santella works alongside Brendan. While Brendan acquires and distributes his guns and drugs, Frankie carries the money and pays for the drugs and guns. Moy Bond hires sex workers and participates in there. Wow. So we have a video of Mr. Combs, Stevie J, and the plaintiff at a strip club. Mr. Combs is recording the video while coaching and training Mr. Jones how to recruit sex workers. Wow, where's that video at? Holy shit. Now, this is the part that you probably seen online. He said defendant Christina Coram is the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs and Jeffrey Epstein. So they're saying that this is really the Carisha Maxwell, as we were speaking, this white lady here. They're saying, according to Mr. Jones, during the 13 months he lived and traveled with Mr. Combs, he witnessed, according to Mr. Jones, according to the during the 13 months he lived and traveled with Mr. Combs, he witnessed Mr. Combs display and distribute guns around his bedroom closets in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles. Questionable individuals dressed in all black. According to Mr. Jones, during 13 months he lived and traveled with the Combs, he witnessed defendant Coram openly order his assistant to keep Mr. Combs high off gummies and pills. They required all employees, from the butler to the chef, to walk around with a Prada pouch, blah, blah, blah. And then I think this is where is this where they mentioned Young Miami? Hold on, I'll just go up here. I'm going to use the search function, y'all, because this is a lot. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Good. So it says Brendan and Christina brought the drugs. Plaintiff Combs' Rico Enterprise were rehearsing for Something in the Water Festival in Virginia. Plaintiff Jones personally witnessed Mr. Combs do a few lines of coke in his dressing room. Defendant Sean Combs wanted to see, but Brendan forgot it. So defendant Christina Coram called Young Miami, who then brought it on the private jet from Miami. Packed cocaine in his carry-on luggage on the evening in the garage on the evening of 11/3/2023. Defendant Combs and Giggs reunited in London, England, for a sold-out show. Okay.
Man, oh man, this whole Diddy situation is wild, man. Like every single day, it's just something new and new and new that comes out about Diddy. Like these freak offs, they're getting out of hand. You feel me? I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if Diddy got a full head of hair or if he went to, you feel me, Turkey to get the hair implant. Like, I know it has nothing to do with nothing, but man, what are we feeling about Diddy, man? Are we praying for Diddy? Do we hope that, you feel me, that it gets better for Diddy? Or like, what are we hoping is the best? Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I genuinely feel bad for Diddy. Like, his career and his livelihood and every single thing that he worked for is done. But then again, you can't feel bad at the same time because he did it all to himself. If Diddy wasn't having these freak offs, if Diddy wasn't doing the Diddy things, he would not be in this situation right now. But he was doing the Diddy things, so he's in this situation. Like, every single day you wake up, you're seeing a different allegation from Diddy. And I ain't gonna lie, him paying Cassie off might have been one of the worst things he ever done, because everyone was looking when the lawsuit came out. He paid her off less than 48 hours. She wanted like $30 million. Who knows how much he paid her? It was probably above 8 figures though. He probably paid her more than $10 million. And they handled the stuff, quote unquote, amicably, however you say that word. And after that, now we're at this stage. After everyone sees that he paid that 8-figure plus in less than 48 hours, all the hawks seen it and they started swerping in, bro. Now they want a piece. They all want the money. All the people that Diddy was touching, or probably not all of them, you feel me? We don't really know everything yet, bro. And the only bad thing about Diddy, bro, that I feel like is gonna happen, like, let's take a break from the free costs and stuff for a second. I feel like they're gonna do deeper looks into like cases like, let's say like Biggie's case. Is he related to that? It's like Tupac's case. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Or like some other random people who got killed. Cause if the situation of him blowing up Kid Cudi's car is true, Diddy is probably, you feel me, and this is with no disrespect, you feel me, he's And we love Brother Love over here, man. Well, we love Brother Love before all these allegations came out, you feel me? You feel me? He's like a rainbow man, which it's nothing wrong with it. Also, he's probably you feel me? Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm trying to word this a specific way so like nothing crazy happens. But Diddy is like, I don't think Diddy is gay. I think that he is probably bisexual from what people say about him or the allegations that came out. Diddy doesn't he doesn't just mess with men, he messes with women too. So he's, you feel me, just bisexual. Which it's nothing wrong if he's gay. We love the gay. We love the LGBTQ community over here, and we love the gay people over here. I just gotta say that, you feel me? YouTube is hella strict, so you feel me? I love everybody. But Diddy, you feel me? He's might be a sociopath, a psychopath. We don't know. No one really knows the real Diddy. You feel me? He likes men and women. You feel me? You get him mad, he might pack you out or get someone to pack you out. You feel me? And he's a freak boy. But hey, let me know how you guys feel about everything. What else new is gonna come out about Diddy? We don't know. But I guess we just gotta sit here and find out. It's your boy Big Act News. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I am out.